Hey there, I hope you had a good week. In this question and answer session, I will be answering 4 questions that I've been getting from comments and messages via YouTube and Twitter. But before I answer those, I'd like to answer a question that quite a few people have been asking me, but it's not directly linked to the purpose of these videos. And it's why I decided to start making these videos. And as it transpires, the reason is quite odd. In early December, I started to watch a series of videos by a guy called Furious Pete 123 on YouTube. And this guy is a competitive eater. You can look him up now. He does crazy things like eating 20 donuts in 2 minutes or eating a whole watermelon in 1.5 minutes. And I was scrolling through his videos and I realised that he posted a video of him saying that he used to be anorexic and he hoped that, his crazy transition of going from anorexic to competitive eater could potentially help others. And looking back on my experiences, I realised that although my transition hasn't been crazy, it's quite odd to go from going from anorexic to medical student. And in addition to this, I sort of been coordinating with other people with eating disorders around this time to sort of seek help via Facebook. And I think this might be ever since the documentary had been released on YouTube that people started to look for me. And as a result of this, I thought the best sort of way I could get my message out to as many people who care to view it is via YouTube. And in these videos, I try to give you a sort of unique perspective of an ex-patient and the medical knowledge of a medical student. And all of these reasons coming together, in addition to my yearning to help you guys, is to make an eating disorders clinic when I eventually become a doctor. So let's start off with the actual 4 questions. The first question is a very unique question that I've received only from one person. And this is a guy with an eating disorder, and he's asking whether it would be a good idea to get into a relationship with another person who has an eating disorder. And he tried to rationalize it by saying, yeah, we could help each other, we could support each other along the way to getting better. And on the surface, this may seem like a good idea from that point of view, but if you look deeper down, I don't really encourage this. And this is because although you may think that you can support each other, you've got to also realize that anorexia has, it's got multiple origins. And as a result of this, the causes of your eating disorder may not be the same as another person's. And because of this, you may not be able to relate to someone when they're going through, say, a particularly rough patch. And in the long run, this could prove not as good as you might have hoped. As well as this, I don't really like to take a pessimistic view, but you sort of have to in these situations. And it's if your partner starts to relapse or go through a particularly rough patch, you may also start to go down with them. And this is because anorexics tend to compete with one another. So if your partner starts to lose weight or starts to eat less, you may subconsciously do the same. And as a result, both of you may go down. Whereas if you weren't together, the other person might have gone to seek help a lot easier. So the message is, to try and get better, you've got to sort of take yourself on first before you start to help other people, which is why I had to make sure that I was completely better before I started to make these videos. The next question that I've been receiving from quite a lot of people on YouTube is, what were my best thoughts to get through rough patches when I was in my inpatient unit? And it's not really a best thought, but the best thing I did was to do things that I really enjoyed, to put myself in a positive mindset to get better. And I think the things that I did was model making, or even I think it was playing Age of Empires on my laptop. And what this did was it preoccupied my obsessions with food and put it onto something that actually made me happy. And if you think about it, it has a lot of beneficial effects. So when I was going through particularly rough patches, I was already in a sort of more positive mindset than if I hadn't done these things that would have made me happier. And also, if I did go through a rough patch, I knew what would make me happy. So yeah, those are the kind of things that I did. As well as this, one of the best things that happened in my mind when I was in the inpatient unit was this thing that a lot of people refer to as the clicking moment. And this moment is where you realise that you have to get better. And when I was in the clinic, everyone said, yeah, I don't know. One day I was like this, and the next day I realised I had to get better. I don't know why this happened. And the only thing I can say that we'd all been exposed to was therapy. You know, we did group therapy, we did individual therapy, we did family therapy. And I guess if you do these kind of things, you'll end up in a much more positive mindset to get better. And that is way better than any positive thoughts that you might be having. You know, I'm not discouraging having positive thoughts, say looking towards the future or the things that you have now, but therapy works. Yeah, the next question that I've been receiving and, you know, doing my own personal research is about posting on pro-anorexia websites. I'm not going to disclose any of these websites because I highly discourage them. And a lot of people have been saying that they feel compelled to post on these websites, or they feel compelled to look at these websites to compare themselves with other people. And of course, you know, this will happen if you start to look at them. And as I said before, anorexia is a competitive disorder. You will start to compete with others, even though you may not know them. So, you know, I really dislike these websites because I hate the idea of promoting a mental disorder. So the best thing that I can say for you to do is, if you feel the need to go on these websites or the need to post on these websites, you should try and put a parental block on them. So, you know, as I said before, you've got to sort of outwit your anorexia. So go and tell your parents to put a parental lock on these websites so that if you feel compelled to go on them, you cannot. Also, because this sounds like quite an OCD tendency, I highly advise you to go and speak to your therapist about it, or just to go to a doctor about it. The last question that I'd like to talk about on this video is from people who are asking whether they should go on particular drugs like anxiolytics. And before I start answering this question, I never took any drugs to get over my eating disorder other than food. And, you know, from the medical perspective, they definitely work to get you into a positive mindset at that particular time. But the only issue I see with them is that they don't target the underlying cause of your eating disorder. And, you know, they will never outmatch therapy for that kind of thing. So, yeah, you know, as I said before, anorexia is a multifactorial disorder, and you may not subconsciously realize a lot of these factors that have contributed to your eating disorder, but they have nonetheless put you into this irrational mindset. So if you go to a therapist and talk to them, they may sort of make you realize some factors that have caused your eating disorder that you yourself haven't realized that drugs can never do. And by going through this therapy, you can rationalize these thoughts and try to get better from it. However, you know, I'm not a medical doctor yet, so I cannot say don't take these drugs. I'm only giving you an opinion. So I highly advise, if you're thinking about taking drugs, to go to a doctor and sort of assess the best treatment options for you. And 9 times out of 10, they'll say to go to a therapy, and they tend to organise these kind of things for you because there are a lot of good connections between GPs in England and different therapists. I'm guessing the same is true for the US and other countries, I hope anyway. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Again, if you have any more questions, please comment or send me tweets. I'm looking at them all the time now. And I hope you have a good weekend. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.